Before the company's IPO, an intern suggested serving milk tea to our foreign guests. My boyfriend remarked, "That's quite creative. Don't always shoot down fresh ideas from newcomers. Is this really how interns get treated these days?" The shareholders chimed in, "Milk tea is so down to earth. Our investors aren't royalty, you know." Solid proof of workplace manipulation. That VP is seriously messed up. I didn't say a word, but quietly swapped it for black tea and a fruit platter before the meeting started. I'm publicly calling out Elaine. She's utterly unfit to be a female executive. The project succeeded, yet she went live online, tearfully accusing me of bullying her and stealing the credit. Sounds like sour grapes to me. My boyfriend stayed silent. Bullet comments flooded with ridicule, and trending searches exploded. Elaine, get out of the workplace. I had just finished an overtime meeting that evening when I opened Weibo and saw myself trending at #1. I died from a bucket of gasoline, my mother passed away from a heart attack, and my father was hit by a car with no one daring to help. It was my birthday that day. Given a second chance at life, I simply nodded. "All right, don't forget to add extra sugar." I opened my moments, and a new post popped up. Then I turned around, switched jobs, and took all the investments with me. Adrian updated his status. Chapter 1. May every hardworking intern be spared from being trampled underfoot with malice. I don't think we need to be overly formal with this foreign delegation. The accompanying image showed a cup of bubble tea in Serena's tear-swollen eyes. Serena spoke softly, standing before the conference table with a tablet in hand, dressed in white. Her gaze was clear and direct. I texted back, "What are you trying to say?" Trendy local brands like bubble tea shops strike the right balance. They're relaxed yet distinctive, perfectly capturing our company's youthful energy. He replied with, "Figure it out yourself." As she spoke, she clicked through the slideshow. Images of takeout bubble tea flashed across the screen, paired with cupcakes and cookies, looking like a promotional ad for office afternoon tea. Another voice message came through, icy and devoid of emotion. I stared at the screen, my face a mask of neutrality, but beneath the table, my fingertips slowly curled into a tight fist. "Elaine, I don't think this is working out between us. I had attended this very meeting in my previous life." I rushed to his office like a madwoman, desperate to ask him, what did I do wrong? When she mentioned the bubble tea, I immediately objected, pointing out that several senior executives had diabetes or dairy allergies, making it unsuitable. Her eyes instantly welled up with tears. "Does Miss Elaine not like me very much?" He sat at his desk, expressionless. "The project is already a success. Serena is well prepared. The company now needs a figurehead executive, not someone with all these emotions." My boyfriend Adrian shot me a cold look and said, "Elaine, don't be so petty." A symbol. I gritted my teeth. "Are you saying my 5 years of building this company with you just turned me into a symbol?" After the meeting, she went live in tears, accusing me of throwing my weight around and stealing her proposal. That video racked up over 1 million likes. "Can you calm down?" He snapped impatiently. "Look at yourself, you're acting like a shrew." Later, when the company's project succeeded, I was the one who actually made it happen, but she stole all the spotlight. That day I got fired, when they literally threw the termination letter in my face, and I ended up being labeled as the toxic female exec who stifles creativity. I became the poster child for workplace toxicity in the news, with media outlets spreading lies about my messy personal life, exploiting subordinates, and being a menopausal control freak. Then came Adrian's breakup, the company's purge, the overwhelming cyberbullying, and that can of gasoline. Someone went to my hometown, filmed a vlog at my mother's hospital, and said, "What kind of decent person could come from a family like this?" I died disfigured beyond recognition in the flames. My father tried to stop them but couldn't, and he was so enraged that he suffered a cerebral hemorrhage and collapsed at the doorstep. My father collapsed on the spot while collecting my remains and died from a brainstem hemorrhage. The day I was doused with gasoline was the 27th of the 12th lunar month, right before the new year. My mother suffered a sudden heart attack upon reading that line on the cremation certificate and was found lifeless by neighbors. I was cornered at the entrance of an old warehouse, where a crowd called me a capitalist lackey and an accomplice to the oppression that drives young people to their deaths. They pinned me to the ground and poured half a bucket of gasoline on me, and there she was, Serena, taking everything I had, striding up to the podium in her custom haute couture, saying, "Thank you, Miss Elaine, for teaching me how to navigate the workplace. Are you the one who killed Serena? I was reborn? How dare you still show your face, reborn right into this very meeting," where she opened her mouth again, suggesting we serve milk tea to the foreign guests. I struggled and screamed, "You're all insane. She's not dead. She's playing you." I stared at the corner of her mouth. No one believed it. That faint, elusive smile. Burn it all. She thought I would step in to stop her, just like I did in our previous life. Someone lit the fire, but this time, I didn't bat an eye, as the flames consumed me. The only thing I remembered was wearing that new beige trench coat I'd bought. I think it's great, I cut in with a smile, interrupting her report. Bubble tea is youthful, trendy, and creative. Serena put a lot of thought into this. My mother had scrimped and saved to buy it for my birthday. She froze a second before it got charred. My phone screen lit up. An eerie silence fell over the meeting room. That was the last voice message my dad sent, I continued, when hosting leadership. We should naturally showcase our unique style, sweetheart. Dad's here to pick you up. Adrian glanced at me, a slight upturn at the corner of his mouth, as if he'd finally witnessed me acting sensibly, but he never made it in time. Since Miss Elaine put it that way, we'll go with your proposal, he said. He was killed instantly when a car running a red light struck him on his way over. Everyone nodded in agreement, chiming in with their approval. My mother, upon hearing news of my death, locked herself in her room that very night, slit her wrists, and lay down in the bathtub, never to wake again. The younger generation's ideas are truly impressive. On the day of the cremation, no one dared to claim my body. Let's not always stick to those traditional English afternoon tea routines. The body was sent to the funeral home, and 3 days later, it was collectively transported for cremation by the Civil Affairs Bureau. Right, who doesn't love bubble tea, they said. Unclaimed bodies don't need names. I scanned the faces of these old friends seated around the conference table, the same people who'd thrown me to the wolves in our previous venture, all while claiming it was for the company's good. Serena's tearful livestream went viral with millions of views, making her the poster child for victims, this time. I'll let you stew in your own juice. Adrian took over the company, vowing to purge the corrupt executives. I stepped out, picked up my phone, and dialed a number. The entire internet is slamming me, saying I deserved to die and had it coming. Mr. Marcus, I said softly, that offer you made earlier, the generous salary, equity stake, and decision-making authority to poach me, does it still stand? My death was utterly meaningless. There was a brief pause on the other end of the line, followed by a hearty laugh. Absolutely, Elaine, if you're ready to make the move, I'll welcome you with open arms anytime. Now that I've been reborn and returned, I hear her say those words once more. Good, let's discuss the terms of our collaboration then. I suggest serving milk tea to the foreign guests. Chapter 2. I looked at her, smiled, and said, sounds good, let's do it that way. In her previous life, Serena also stood at the center of the conference room. Chapter 3. Dressed in a white dress with her hair in a ponytail, she held a tablet and delivered a whole set of bubble tea marketing theories, her smile innocent and her voice gentle. Miss Elaine, are you sure you don't want to attend such an important briefing? I couldn't help but remind her. The people we're hosting are executives from domestic and international corporations, not billy content creators. My secretary Maya stopped me, her arms laden with a thick stack of documents. She paused, pursed her lips slightly, and lowered her voice a little. Does Miss Elaine not like me very much? I stood calmly in my black trench coat and replied, didn't Serena say she wanted to lead a formal reception? Let this be her practice run. Adrian sat beside her and retorted coldly, are you targeting her? Maya gave me a complicated look and lowered her voice. Mr. Adrian has been promoting her way too obviously. People are whispering that you might be sidelined. I was taken aback. I smirked. Sidelining me, he'd better check if he's got what it takes first, he said. You're just jealous because she's young, articulate, and well-liked. I pushed the door open and walked into the conference room. The conference room fell silent as other shareholders chimed in one after another. What's wrong with young people having creative ideas? We older generations simply don't understand their world. Serena was already standing in the center, dressed in a light pink professional outfit. Holding a notebook, she spoke softly. This is a crucial opportunity for us to connect with D Group's top executives. I've outlined the specific hospitality plan. Please review it, everyone. In that moment, it all clicked. The first slide of the PPT features a prominent headline. Even when you're right, if you don't look delicate and helpless or know how to play the victim, no one will take your side. Creative reception concepts inspired by Gen Z. But she would, below it, an eye-catching large bubble tea logo graphic. That night, she went live. I planned to set up a self-service bubble tea station during the reception break, offering flavors like jasmine green tea, cheese peach oolong, and full-cup ruby grapefruit, with customizable sweetness levels. For snacks, we'll serve molten lava cakes and candied orange peel to showcase our team's vibrant energy. Title, she glanced back at me as she spoke, with a tone that hovered between showing off and testing the waters. Hashtag crying from workplace bullying. Sitting in the back row, I sipped warm water unhurriedly while flipping through documents. Sitting in her rented apartment with half-soaked clothes and red-rimmed eyes, she deliberately chose a dim, shabby backdrop. Through tears she said, a senior executive at Group D just entered stage 3 diabetes. Do you plan to label the sugar content on your milk tea? I suggested serving bubble tea to foreign delegates, and the deputy CEO publicly called me an idiot. Why can't young professionals have creative ideas? I remarked flatly without looking up. The live stream chat just exploded. Serena paused for a moment, then immediately replied, "We could just order sugar-free versions, sugar-free milk tea with sweetened base powder, whipped sweet cream foam. Are you really going to explain each ingredient to them one by one?" The project liaison is the Singapore branch. Their culture leans Western. Do you really think they'd appreciate your fruit syrup dessert? I'll make sure to emphasize that in the report, she said stiffly. Besides, not every foreign guest declines milk tea. We could always prepare 2 options. Serena's preparations are quite thorough already. There's no need to constantly undermine a newcomer. Adrian cut me off, his tone clearly biased in her favor. I gave a faint smile and glanced up at him. So what does Miss Elaine think? Serena bit her lip, looking at me with pleading eyes. I looked at her and slowly smiled. My opinion is, I glanced around the room, speaking gently, the proposal is excellent and very innovative. If no one has any objections, let's proceed as she suggested. An inexplicable sense of relief filled the conference room. Someone murmured, Miss Elaine has mellowed out quite a bit. True, she's not as domineering as before. Young people still deserve opportunities. I just have no interest in cleaning up your messes. After the meeting, I walked into my office with the documents and locked the door. My phone had already received a text message from Marcus. Materials received. We will conduct an internal review of the cooperation framework, with project initiation expected as early as next week. I sent him a briefing PPT. Signed not as Elaine but under the newly registered Away.She planning studio. The ownership structure of this studio has just undergone a covert controlling stake change, on the surface unconnected, but in reality I hold all the cards. Serena was still in the conference room coordinating the self-serve bubble tea with admin, smiling like a pure-hearted innocent. That evening Adrian sent a WeChat message. Serena is still too naive and gets nervous easily. As her senior, you should guide her appropriately. I couldn't help but laugh when I read that. He actually wants me to teach Serena. Is he trying to get her killed faster? I replied with a simple okay. Then I immediately compiled her live stream accounts, past history, and records of private gigs and commercial performances into an anonymous report, which I sent to the Corporate Disciplinary Committee's email. In my previous life, her live stream exposed me, making me the target of widespread online condemnation. This time, I'll make sure she experiences what it's like to face a massive online backlash. Standing outside the conference room, I pulled out my phone and dialed Marcus's number. Hello, Miss Elaine. His laughter carried a tone of sober self-discipline. Leaning against the window, I murmured, just giving you a heads up, I'm bringing the project over. And I'm going to wipe the floor with the other side. Don't you worry, Marcus said, you just handle the cleanup, I'll take care of the fire. Chapter 4. The day of the project meeting was overcast. When 3 senior executives from Group D arrived at our group's headquarters in a private car, the receptionist could sense their grim expressions even as she greeted them with an umbrella. It wasn't personal, they were all around 50, constantly managing their sugar intake, watching their fat consumption, and guarding against allergies. I'm not at all sold on this whole youth-oriented bubble tea marketing strategy. In front of the meeting room, Serena, wearing a bright yellow dress, was crouched on the floor arranging the newly set-up bubble tea station. I chose the low-sugar versions for all the bubble teas, she said, turning to the admin staff, but the colors have to be photogenic. We must include strawberry milk green tea, cheese grapefruit tea, and the like. The toppings need to be plentiful too, to make the pictures pop. After half an hour of meticulous arranging, the bubble teas and petit fours were finally lined up like a proper afternoon tea display. She clapped her hands and turned to Adrian with a beaming smile. Mr. Adrian, would you like to add anything else? Adrian glanced over and nodded. Looks good. Several executives nearby exchanged glances, their faces betraying a hint of hesitation. About these refreshments, someone murmured under their breath, the boss has a sensitive stomach. Aren't these too sweet? No worries, she said. She picked the low-sugar option. Hey, with all these reporters around, let's not embarrass the newcomers. Right on schedule, the D Group executives entered the room. Before they could even take their seats, Serena approached with a smile. Welcome, welcome. We've prepared some creative snacks that are popular with the younger crowd here. Hope you'll enjoy them. The 3 exchanged glances and, without a word, raised their cups out of politeness. After one sip, their expressions shifted slightly. Sitting in the middle, Mr. Cheng, a classic case of stage 3 diabetes, suddenly flushed, his stomach cramping. He gripped the table with one hand and pressed the other against his abdomen. Who prepared this stuff? This is, the admin staff froze. Why is this so cloyingly sweet? Did you mix in condensed milk? The female assistant quickly handed him a tissue, quietly urging him to calm down. The investor nearby wiped his mouth with a frown. Are you actually serious? We're here to discuss funding, not to join your company's afternoon tea social. Mr. Ching immediately blocked the QR code under the milk tea. My kids aren't ordering from this place ever again. Absolutely dreadful. The atmosphere grew tense. Serena's face went pale instantly. She explained nervously, This is the low-sugar version. We tested all the ingredients beforehand. Low sugar. And you made people drink this. An investor glared at her. Are you trying to land us all in the hospital? The atmosphere turned palpably icy. Adrian stood up to smooth things over. Please don't be upset, everyone. This is Serena's first time leading a reception. She may be a bit inexperienced. Is she your fiancé or your assistant? Director Zhang, seated at the far right, glared coldly at him. I don't care who she is. Today is about a crucial partnership for the group. Treating investors like this, are you making a mockery of us? The air froze. The media happened to capture the moment, with the sound of camera shutters going off one after another. Several shareholders nearby looked embarrassed, and one of them gritted his teeth and said, Take the milk tea away, replace it, quickly switch to the plan Elaine used last time. Before he could finish, Mr. Ching stood up, picked up his folder, and said, No need to change it, I won't look at the project for now. This is your attitude, and I'm not interested. The other two executives also stood up. If your leadership doesn't even care, then there's no point in continuing this discussion. We're not here for bubble tea. With those words, the three of them immediately turned and walked out. The moment the door closed, the conference room fell into complete silence. The journalists hesitated whether to keep filming, while several pale-faced shareholders rushed out the door after him, pleading, Mr. Ching, please don't leave. She wasn't really leading the project. We misunderstood. Serena, still standing in place, tugged nervously at Adrian's sleeve with trembling fingers and whispered, I didn't mean to. I checked their health records. I just wanted to innovate. Really? Adrian didn't look at her, his gaze fixed coldly on the still steaming cup of milk tea. After a long silence, he spoke coldly. What about Elaine? Wasn't she supposed to be hosting? She withdrew on her own. She said she wants to step down as the lead. She said she agreed to let me take over. Serena's voice trailed off. Because everyone was staring at her, from start to finish, she had fought for all of this herself. She snatched the position, proposed the plan herself, executed it herself, and now things have gone wrong. No one can cover for her. I tuned into the meeting live stream from my office just in time to see the investor stand up when Mr. Ching said, We're not here for bubble tea. I almost burst out laughing. I opened the message from Marcus. They've officially withdrawn their investment intent. I've received the relevant documents. Congratulations. First step accomplished. I replied, It's still early. The real show is yet to come. I put on my trench coat, gathered my things, and walked out of the office. My secretary Maya saw me and panicked. Miss Elaine, where are you going? The board is about to hold an emergency meeting. I walked with a light step and spoke in a gentle tone. I'm not Miss Elaine anymore. Remember, I stepped down from leadership a long time ago. What happened today has nothing to do with me. Chapter 5. 15 minutes later, an emergency executive meeting was urgently convened at our group. In the conference room, the shareholders looked grim. Mr. Ching's shattered boba cup lay on the desk. Coconut jelly scattered across the floor. The investors pulled out. Do you have any idea that money came from all of us taking out mortgages and betting our entire cash flow? If this isn't resolved today, I'm suing Mr. Adrian for malpractice, who authorized you to change the plan without approval, the retail investors, who had previously only cared about their dividends. We're now in an uproar. I told you not to let an intern take the lead, but no one listened. Young people have creativity. One sip of that milk tea nearly sent me to the hospital. If this company goes under, Adrian, can you even afford to cover the losses? Adrian sat at the head of the table, his hands clasped together, his expression dark and brooding. Serena sat beside him, her face pale, her eyes darting nervously around the room. She tried to stand up and explain, No, that's not it. I was only assisting at first. Miss Elaine was the one in charge. What nonsense are you spouting? A vice president sneered on the spot. Elaine signed the withdrawal of lead responsibility form for the project long ago. You fought to take this on yourself, and now that you've caused a mess, you're trying to pass the buck. Serena clenched her jaw. Didn't you promise the investors would be blown away? You've certainly left them in the dark. Her entire body trembled. The same people who were just calling her Serena have now completely changed their tune. I didn't show up. My office was cleared out, my access card deactivated, computer wiped clean, not even a pen left behind. She can't just not come, Adrian snapped, suddenly standing up and shoving his chair back. She can't run out on us now. As a founding shareholder, she's the one who should be handling this. If she doesn't fix this, don't blame me for what happens next. Blame you for what? A calm, gentle voice came from the doorway. I walked in wearing a beige trench coat, my hair impeccably coiffed and my expression detached. Holding a document in my hand, I deliberately placed it on the conference table. This is the equity transfer application I submitted last week. The process is complete, and I am officially stepping down from my position as a director of Away.She. All eyes turned to the document. A bright red notary seal was stamped in the lower right corner, sealing every word in place. From today onward, I am a free agent. I have neither the right nor the interest to be involved in anything that happens at the company. Adrian strode closer, his voice a low, explosive whisper. Elaine, do you have any idea what kind of occasion this is? You're just going to stand by and watch us go down. Isn't it only natural to watch you crash and burn? He flinched. The meeting room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Serena tried to rush out and grab me. You can't leave. You knew the risks of this project all along. Did you do this on purpose? I gave a faint smile. Exactly. She froze in surprise. I moved closer slowly, locked eyes with her, and enunciated each word deliberately. You were the one who suggested the milk tea, wrote the presentation, and arranged the reception process. You want to stand out, to take my position, don't you? Well, then you'd better hold on tight and don't you dare cry. I scanned the room, looking at each of these people. The same ones who used to pull all-nighters with me until 4 a.m., only to stab me in the back when I hit a rough patch. Now they're all scrambling to take over Serena's presentation, all while bad-mouthing my judgment. So what now? Everyone's become like startled birds. One final reminder, I said softly, I've taken the D Group investment resources with me. From now on, they'll only negotiate with me. I started my own venture, the 1-7 Planning Studio. And we're currently in talks with the Marcus Group about follow-up collaborations. You'd better stop trying to contact Director Cheng. They've already blocked your email addresses. I turned and said as I walked away, don't thank me. I'm not kicking you when you're down, just giving you a little push. This time, don't bother climbing back out. Silence fell behind me. Serena screamed hysterically, I hope you die a horrible death. I walked away without looking back. Chapter 6. As I stepped out of the Away.She building, it began to rain. A gust of wind howled past, lifting the hem of my trench coat. I opened the passenger door and slipped into the understated black sedan. Marcus was waiting for me, dressed in a gray suit with his shirt impeccably buttoned, his slender fingers drumming lightly on the steering wheel. You're looking well, he said casually as he started the car, withdrawing as planned. I nodded. Full retreat, freeze the marketing budget, unlock the accounts. And take all resources with us. He paused, glancing at me, showing mercy. My eyes shifted. Haven't even started making moves yet. He chuckled. You know, he said slowly, I used to think you were above scheming, gazing at the raindrops splattering outside the window. I said flatly, I am above it, but if someone's determined to screw up, there's nothing I can do about it. Away.She planning evolved from the small, established studio I started during my university days, last week. I registered it as an independent legal entity, with the Marcus Group holding a 51% stake and me personally holding 49%, giving me actual control and veto power. Away.She had quietly launched 2 hours before the Away.She incident occurred, just as Away.She's investment deal fell through and news broke of founder Elaine's departure. Media outlets simultaneously released another piece of information. Marcus' new brand, 17 initiative, led by former Away.She core founder Elaine, has secured strategic investment from Group D. The internet exploded instantly. Isn't that the female executive who got exposed by an intern during a live stream? I thought she was fired. No, she left on her own accord. The company's investment deal fell through. She's back in the game, and she secured funding directly from D Group. What's her background anyway? It's like she was waiting for them to crash and burn from the very beginning. Sorry, but I'm standing with her on this. Meanwhile, chaos had completely taken over the Away.She building. The shareholder representatives have already demanded an audit, the CFO is on leave and unreachable, and the company's accounts have been frozen. The media are all camped out at the entrance, waiting to get their shots. There are more people here for the spectacle than for actual business discussions. The board's WeChat group was flooded with messages. Meanwhile, in the conference room, Adrian shattered his third glass. She can't just leave, he roared. How dare she walk away so cleanly? No one dared to make a sound. We're the ones who made her, he panted. The projects, the resources, the connections, I've been propping it all up, and now she thinks she can just kick us to the curb and start over, all because of one failed pastry. As soon as he finished speaking, Serena pushed the door open and walked in. She was soaking wet, holding her phone. With red-rimmed eyes, Mr. Adrian, online. People are saying terrible things about me online. I didn't do anything wrong. She set me up to take the fall. I had no idea we weren't supposed to serve the milk tea. You have to help me. She kept repeating you have to help me as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Adrian stared at her, his eyes for the first time holding a chilling emptiness. Didn't you say you could take her place? Serena froze. So tell me, are you qualified to sit in this position now? Her voice trembled. Are you blaming me now, Everything I did, wasn't it all for you? You told me she was emotionally unstable, that she was disobedient, that she was stubborn. You said you wanted me to stay in her place. I trusted you, and now everyone's blaming me. I'm blacklisted. RC is going under, and you're pointing fingers at me. She was nearly hysterical. Outside the conference room, someone had stopped to watch. Adrian rose to his feet, his voice dropping to a terrifying low. Do you really think I have time for your hysterics right now? Look at this circus. The press, shareholders, disciplinary committee. You think I have bandwidth to deal with you? Serena stared at him in disbelief. Are you trying to use me as a scapegoat? Who told you to steal the credit? He said with the casual tone of someone discussing the weather. Shouldn't you take responsibility for what you took? Elaine didn't cry when she left. How come you can't hold on anymore? Only Serena gets it. She's not Adrian's new flame. She's just a pawn, a temporary stand-in for me. Tossed in the trash at the first misstep, her whole body trembled, and the phone clattered to the floor. The rebuttal script she had spent 3 days preparing never got sent. The screen went black. Meanwhile, I was sitting in the conference room at 1-7 planning, white walls, a projector, sunlight streaming across the large table, and outside the window, a crystal clear sky after the rain had passed. Marcus slammed the contract on the table. D Group's strategic investment funds have been transferred. Miss Elaine, the floor is yours. I gave a slight nod. Excellent. Now it's time for us to turn the tables. Chapter 7. Trending number 3 on Weibo. #R. Group intern Serena responds to PR disaster. Bubble tea girl breaks down over being forced to take the fall. The live stream had only been up for less than 10 minutes, and the chat was already flooded with comments. Serena appeared on camera in a grey knit sweater, wearing no makeup, her eyes rimmed with red, her voice choked with emotion. She said, I know I don't have the right to fight for this opportunity, but I'm just an intern. When something goes wrong at the company, all the blame falls on me. I feel so helpless. She portrayed herself as the misguided, exploited girl in the workplace, speaking timidly through her tears. I know Miss Elaine is very capable, and I respect her, but she shouldn't have backed out at the last minute and left me to handle the reception all alone. I'm new here, so it's natural I might lack experience, but I meant no harm. She sounds so pitiful. Was Elaine too harsh on her? Isn't it inappropriate for an RC executive to push an intern to take the fall? Is the public persona starting to crumble now? The barrage comments are beginning to waver. Serena bowed her head to wipe away tears, while off-screen her agent was already publishing articles portraying her as a delicate, ethereal white moonlight. She knew that by steering public opinion toward Elaine deserting at a critical moment, even if she made mistakes in hosting, she could still garner a wave of public sympathy. But what she didn't know was, this time, I was waiting for her to speak up. I was sitting in the Away.She planning conference room when my phone buzzed with a notification. Marcus turned from his computer, his tone measured. She's live. I gave a slight nod. Time to shut her up. I activated the pre-scheduled content release. The entire internet exploded within a minute. I instantly bought out Weibo's hot search rankings, forcing my topic to the top spot. #Elaine responds to intern's betrayal by releasing all project materials. The official @V account posted 5 consecutive updates, complete audio recording of project meeting, screenshot of Serena volunteering to lead the project via email, payment receipt for bubble tea purchased by Serena on reception day, reception workflow document submitted by her, the email correspondence with Group D explicitly stated, our designated contact for this visit, Serena. Every single item required an official stamp with timestamp, but the most critical failure was this. She was fully aware of the counterpart's diabetes condition, yet wrote in her reply, at RC Group, we've been pioneering innovative approaches to engage younger audiences. Our hospitality arrangements will reflect this youthful creativity. You have our assurance. She was fully aware of the situation. She just thought she could disguise it with buzzwords like innovation. The Weibo comments section exploded. She spearheaded this whole thing. Why is she crying now? Holy crap. This is like having God mode enabled. Elaine is absolutely slaughtering them. This isn't counterattack. Sis is conducting a criminal investigation. She's not the victim, she's the mastermind behind it all. You thought you were just an intern, but you were actually breaking the law. 3 minutes later, Serena's live stream was shut down for the following reason, suspected of spreading rumors and defamation. The platform has received a real name report. 4 minutes later, the official account of 1-7 Planning posted another update. Additional report materials have been submitted to the police. Security camera footage. Late one night, Serena secretly photocopies tender documents in the print room and ships them via courier. Courier waybill, shipping address, recipient, a competing company in City Y. Her personally signed delivery receipt, stamped and thumbprint. Meanwhile, chaos erupted in the RC conference room. Adrian stared fixedly at his phone screen. A vein throbbing on his forehead. She's lost her mind, he roared. Has she gone insane? She even leaked the competitive materials. Serena had already been shoved to the ground, and everyone backed away several steps as if she were carrying the plague. It wasn't me. I didn't mean to, she sobbed uncontrollably. They made me do it. They told me to beat Elaine. Who? Adrian asked in a low voice. Who made you do it? She tried to explain through her choked sobs, but saw the utter disgust in his eyes. It suddenly dawned on her that she wasn't even worthy enough to be used as a pawn. Adrian held his forehead and muttered under his breath, this isn't just about revenge. She's trying to dismantle our entire conglomerate. Piece by piece, he stepped out of the conference room and made a phone call. Take me to Away.She. I need to see Elaine. The other person hesitated. She instructed not to receive anyone from Away.She. I'm not with Away.She, Adrian growled. I'm her fiancé. After a moment of silence on the other end of the line came the reply, she did say that if you claim to be her fiancé, you should never come to see her. Chapter 8, 17 Planning officially announced a 3-year long-term partnership with Group D. On the day the official blog post was published, it garnered over 100,000 shares and comments. That's Elaine's prowess for you. She didn't leave the game, she just moved to a bigger table to keep ruling. They didn't crash, they just upgraded their ride. Meanwhile, Away.She announced new partnerships for 3 consecutive days, signed a brand co-creation agreement with Vision Media, secured the master planning rights for Z City's landmark commercial project, launched IP collaboration with emerging design brand Inkblot projects that Away.She could never land despite all their efforts are now being handed to me one after another, and Serena was taken into police custody on the 4th morning of all this unfolding. The incident stemmed from leaking confidential bidding information and involvement in improper benefit transfers. She sat in the back of the police car, still clutching the unaired live broadcast script. The live broadcast never happened that day, but surveillance footage captured the entire process of her mailing the documents and receiving the money. She could no longer muster those delicate, pitiable tears. The media summed up her current situation in one sentence: from cherished ideal to corporate whistleblower in just 5 days. Meanwhile, Away.She Group completely imploded. Major shareholders are dumping their stakes. The board is in disarray. Employees are quietly updating their resumes, and someone at the front desk just handed in their resignation on the spot. The once bustling building was slowly dying. I sat by the floor-to-ceiling window on the top floor of Away.She, warm coffee in hand, documents spread out before me. Marcus stood behind me and murmured, Adrian's here, for the 6th time. Haven't seen him. He said he's waiting for you downstairs. I flipped through the documents without looking up, then let him wait. He said he'll keep waiting. Can he afford to wait? I gazed out the window and said quietly, this building, he once told me to my face I wasn't qualified to enter. Now he wants to stand at the door waiting for me to give him a chance. Too late. Downstairs, Adrian stood at the entrance of Away.She company, his shirt wrinkled, hair disheveled, and face haggard. For the first time in years, he found himself standing on the rain-soaked ground without his secretary or chauffeur, being looked up at from below. He had been standing there all day, from noon until dusk. Some people even secretly filmed him with their phones and posted it online. Former Away.She Group president waiting outside Away.She to reconcile with female CEO. Cemetery Bay trope confirmed. New case study in simp literature. Did he regret it? Did she even acknowledge him? Nope. She was sipping coffee. She lived more radiantly than anyone, while he was stuck in the wind like a stray dog. The comments section is losing it. Meanwhile, I sat in the office, pulling up Away.She's public sentiment monitoring, one by one. This isn't Elaine's counterattack, it's the return of a queen. The entire internet owes her an apology this time. Would she be this formidable if she hadn't already died once back then? No. If I hadn't died once, I'd still be in the break room forcing smiles, drinking with shareholders, cleaning up other people's messes. So I'm grateful for that can of gasoline. It burned away the person I used to be, forging who I am today, Elaine, who would no longer compromise. At dusk, the security guard approached Adrian and urged him to leave. He said, Miss Elaine has already left for the day. You should go home. Adrian looked up, his eyes desolate and his throat dry. Did she really leave no room for our past affection? Chapter 9. The Global Enterprise Summit is the industry's most prestigious annual conference, hosted and funded by the D Group. It brings together media, investors, and industry peers in full attendance. 17 Planning was invited to deliver a keynote speech, with me as the featured speaker. The night the announcement was made, it instantly blew up on Weibo's trending topics. Hashtag Elaine to make first public appearance. Hashtag former Away.She founder returns with new company. Hashtag she's not seeking revenge, she's rebuilding her throne. Hashtag the comment section has gone completely wild. Now this is what a true female protagonist looks like. I was still laughing when that loser was waiting for her after work. I'm going to camp out for the entire live stream of the speech. Can't risk missing a single word she says. Will she bring up old memories? Maybe call someone out by name? Waiting anxiously for updates. 5 minutes until she takes the stage. I'm backstage doing a final proofread of my script. The assistant approached and spoke cautiously. Miss Elaine, Adrian, he's at the door. Without looking up, I said, throw him out. He's on his knees. I stopped writing. On your knees, yes. The assistant swallowed hard. He said he'll do anything for your forgiveness. Just let him apologize in person. Even a single word would suffice. I let out a soft chuckle. So he's finally ready to admit he was wrong. No. The assistant lowered his head. He said his mistake was trusting the wrong person and failing to deal with Serena in time. From start to finish, he never once said my mistake was betraying you. I nodded. Then he's even less worthy of being heard. The stage lights came up, and I stepped onto the platform. The media had their cameras trained on me, spotlights glaring in my face, while the live broadcast flooded screens across the internet. My gaze swept across the audience before darting away. In the farthest corner of the VIP section, a familiar figure sat in the most inconspicuous spot, head bowed, shoulders slumped. Adrian. He actually managed to sneak in. Dressed in a black suit, he stood like a bronze statue gathering dust. The moment he saw me, his eyes lit up for an instant, then he immediately stood up, walked to the edge of the podium in front of everyone, and with a thud, dropped to his knees. He knelt under all the cameras, facing me. A collective gasp swept through the entire venue. The media went wild. The live stream chat went absolutely wild. He's on his knees. Adrian is kneeling. What kind of legendary drama is this? The male lead from that workplace hellscape is begging his ex on his knees. Please, sis. Don't forgive him, the ultimate simp. Today's my social suicide. He knelt on both knees, palms pressed against the floor. When he lifted his head, his bloodshot eyes burned into me like a wolf stripped of its territory. Elaine, his voice was ragged, raw with desperation. I know I was wrong. I truly understand now. I'll never go back to see, I don't need anything. Just let me stay as your assistant. I'll even fetch your water. I just want to stay by your side. I was wrong back then. I shouldn't have doubted you, shouldn't have stood by her side, shouldn't have left you to face those things alone. Elaine, I call out your name even in my dreams. I'm begging you, give me another chance. I listened to his every word, watching the hundreds of eyes in the audience and the rolling cameras on stage, suddenly smiled. I picked up the receiver and spoke slowly. What is Mr. Adrian saying? I can't quite hear clearly. I'm too far above to hear the words you speak on your knees. The room fell into dead silence. The next moment, thunderous applause erupted, like a tsunami crashing through the roof of shame. So damn epic. I stand too high. She's not talking about steps, but about vision. Adrian's reputation is completely destroyed, truly the internet's top female lead. She owns it. That made me jump up on the spot, sending shivers of delight through my entire body. Adrian staggered, his face turning deathly pale. He seemed to want to say more, but found his throat hoarse and his limbs ice cold. I stood under the light, watching him with a calm gaze. Your apology is hardly worth mentioning. He scrambled forward on his knees, bowing so low his head nearly touched my feet. Elaine, I truly regret everything. I've lost her now. And since the incident I haven't slept a wink night after night. Do you still hate me? I looked down and smiled. Mr. Adrian, you're not even worth my hatred anymore. He collapsed completely onto the ground, as if the entire world had trampled him into the mud. Chapter 10. After the summit, Adrian completely dropped off the radar. His company couldn't locate him. His legal team couldn't reach him, and even his custom Maybach had been sitting untouched in the underground garage for over 10 days. He was eventually found near an abandoned villa on the outskirts of the city, disheveled and sitting in the weeds. He clutched a trench coat, incessantly muttering unintelligible words. The medical examination revealed severe acute stress disorder with dissociative identity fragmentation. The attending physician said helplessly, he can no longer distinguish between reality and hallucinations. Meanwhile, I'm on a flight to New York. Away.She planning is about to ring the opening bell on Nasdaq, with investments from both D Group and Marcus Group, making it the fastest growing unicorn this quarter. On stage that day, I wore a sharply tailored white suit, my long hair tied back in a low bun, with pearl earrings shimmering softly on my earlobes. The countdown reached 3 seconds, and the bell rang out. Dong, dong, dong. At the celebration dinner, Marcus raised his glass with a smile and said, Congratulations, Miss Elaine. Today you officially become the youngest female founder of the new generation. I haven't thanked you yet, I said, looking up. He chuckled. If thanks are due, you should thank yourself. I raised my glass and gently clinked it against his. A week later, I brought my mother home from the hospital. Her eyes welled up as she looked at the newly renovated courtyard. She smiled through tears and said, "You have everything now, all that's missing is someone to marry." I stayed silent, just lowering my head to gently stroke the silver ring on my finger. "I bought that with my own savings when I was 16, my very first piece of jewelry. That was the year I first met Adrian. He told me, 'That ring looks lovely on you. I bet you'll wear one just like it when you get married someday.'" I stared at it for a moment, then slowly slipped it off and tossed it into the little fountain behind me. Whether Elaine gets married or not, that's nobody's decision but her own, except for herself. The ring sank into the water, rippling outwards like a farewell that would never return. Story 2. My younger brother has mild nearsightedness. Dad heard snake gallbladder could improve eyesight and actually made him swallow it raw. I quickly intervened, warning them this could lead to parasitic infections. Later, when his poor vision disqualified him from military academy, my parents blamed me for everything. If you hadn't stopped Mumu from eating that raw snake gallbladder, my son wouldn't have developed 1,000-degree myopia and lost his government job. My younger brother obeyed our parents and sold me into the mountains, where I eventually died a miserable death after endless torment. When I opened my eyes again, I'd somehow returned to the day my brother swallowed that live gallbladder. This time, I said with a smile, "If little brother eats this snake gall, his eyes will become big and bright. Come quick, son, see what dad brought you. This is snake gallbladder. It improves eyesight and prevents nearsightedness." Seeing this familiar scene, I froze for a long moment before understanding dawned on me. I was reborn on the very day my younger brother swallowed a live gallbladder, in my past life. One day Mom suddenly noticed my brother couldn't see distant objects clearly. In a panic, she dragged him to the city hospital in a rush. After professional examination, the doctor diagnosed him with 150-degree myopia. The doctor recommended special corrective lenses that could effectively slow myopia progression, significantly reducing the risk of developing high myopia. All that talk about special glasses and true myopia is just a money-grabbing scheme. Hospitals these days are getting way too clever with their scams. I'm never setting foot in this godforsaken hospital again. 1. After dragging my little brother home, Mom kept ranting to the whole family about how shady that hospital was. She angrily claimed the hospital wasn't just after our money, they were trying to trick my brother into wearing glasses. She'd heard that once you start wearing them, your prescription skyrockets until you're stuck with glasses for life. "How dare you take my precious grandson to the hospital? Are you trying to kill him?" To everyone's shock, Grandma flew into a rage upon hearing Mom had taken my brother to the hospital, slapping her without hesitation. In Grandma's mind, hospitals were terrifying places where no one ever came out unscathed. Dad yelled at Mom for being short-sighted, saying her hospital visits would bankrupt even a gold mountain. The next day, Dad came home with a snake gallbladder and whispered mysteriously to my younger brother, "Snake gallbladder improves eyesight and effectively prevents myopia." He made a point of emphasizing that he personally caught this wild snake, claiming its effects were far superior to farm-raised ones. In my past life, watching the scene unfold, I was beside myself with anxiety and desperately tried to stop them. I explained to them, snake gallbladder does have medicinal properties like improving eyesight and reducing internal heat. In the past, many people consumed them raw because the environment was pristine and free from parasites. But things are completely different now. With that, I quickly showed them the relevant cases I'd searched on my phone. My younger brother was horrified seeing all those cases of people's brains being infested with parasites after swallowing raw gallbladders, immediately swearing he'd never try it. But just then, Dad suddenly slapped me across the face and roared, "All my friends ate it without any issues, yet here you are making a fuss over nothing, deliberately scaring your little brother. For the sake of my brother's health, even taking that slap was absolutely worth it." After that incident, I patiently explained the importance of wearing corrective glasses and went to great lengths to convince our family to follow the doctor's advice and get him a proper pair, though the process was arduous. I never gave up, because I firmly believe this is the only way to truly safeguard my brother's future. My younger brother was so addicted to gaming that his nearsightedness kept worsening, yet every time he needed new glasses, Mom would scold him about it. "This is all your sister's fault for not making you swallow live gallbladders, otherwise you'd never have needed glasses." He grew to resent me because of this. During his college entrance physical, we were shocked to learn his vision had deteriorated to -10 diopters. The severity made him ineligible for corrective surgery, dashing our family's hopes of him attending military academy. Enraged, my younger brother conspired with our parents to sell me into the mountains, condemning me to a slow, agonizing death through daily torment. Recalling the brutal suffering of my past life sent chills down my spine and ignited burning hatred in my heart. Now, facing the same scenario, I smiled sweetly and said, "Eating snake gall will make little brother's eyes big and bright." My younger brother stood frozen in hesitation, his eyes brimming with conflict and unease, yet amid the family's encouraging atmosphere, he ultimately chose to swallow the live snake gall whole. I watched the gallbladder intently. Tiny white specks occasionally darted beneath its membrane before vanishing without a trace. Witnessing this, I curled my lips in quiet satisfaction. Dad went to extraordinary lengths to ensure my younger brother would have bright, clear eyes. Every single day, he trekked tirelessly into the mountains near our hometown to hunt. His sole mission was securing the purest, most natural snake gallbladders for my brother to consume. It never crossed his mind how severe pollution had become, especially in our rural hometown where poor sanitation significantly increased contamination risks and parasite exposure. Wild-caught doesn't necessarily mean safer than farm-raised, but I won't be the one to tell them. Apart from the special snake gallbladder reserved for my younger brother, Mom made full use of every other part of the snake. She prepared the snake meat into various delicacies through frying, boiling, and stir-frying. To her, snake meat was highly nutritious, and not a single scrap should go to waste. At the dinner table, I stole a curious glance at the famous dragon and phoenix soup. But that fleeting look was immediately noticed by Grandma's sharp eyes. Grandma frowned and scolded. "What are you staring at? Such a greedy little child, utterly disgraceful." Grandma's sudden scolding startled me. I was just looking out of curiosity. I wouldn't dare eat that dragon phoenix stew anyway. What if it's undercooked? This dish is too rich. It wouldn't be good for you. Your brother's frail and needs nourishment. You're the older sister. Be sensible. Then came Mom and Dad's classic guilt-tripping remarks again, along with my brother's taunting glare. In my past life, this would have crushed me, but now, I'm all for it. If they won't let me eat this, the least they could do is offer something else. Can't even bother with basic courtesy. I must have been a complete fool in my past life to have never seen their true colors. Sis, don't blame Mom and Dad and Grandma. You can have my portion, too. My brother wore a pitiful expression as he spoke. Already reaching to put food in my bowl, I swiftly moved my bowl away. How could I have been so blind to my brother's manipulative ways? If I'd taken the food he offered, wouldn't that have perfectly played into his victim narrative? The old me might have faltered at his pitiful act, even accepting his kindness out of soft-heartedness, never suspecting the hidden agenda behind it. But now, I see right through his little games with perfect clarity. Chu-Wan-Ching, what's wrong with you? Your brother's just being thoughtful. Why are you dodging him? As the older sister, how could I possibly compete with my little brother for things? The moment these words left my mouth, the whole family broke into satisfied smiles. They were secretly gloating inside, thinking their long-term brainwashing had finally paid off. Meanwhile, watching their expressions, I genuinely laughed too. In the blink of an eye, over half a month passed. I was doing homework at home when Mom called. "Your little brother's getting bullied. Get over here now." When I rushed to the scene, I found a crowd gathered around. My heart sank, bracing for some serious trouble, but after pushing through the crowd, I discovered it was just my brother spraining his ankle during a basketball game with other boys. Mom was sobbing hysterically while cursing the other kids. Not satisfied with venting alone, she'd even dragged me into this to join her tirade. A smug, gloating smile spread across my younger brother's face, clearly reveling in our mother's unconditional defense of him, yet they remained completely oblivious to the disapproving looks around them. With Mom acting this way, what child would dare play with him anymore? This had happened before. I'd always been the one to apologize on their behalf, but Mom would turn her anger on me instead, leaving me battered and bruised. But Mom's triumph was short-lived. Soon the other child's parents arrived in a fury. The moment they met, tensions exploded into a full-blown physical altercation. The police finally arrived in a hurry, putting an end to this farce. Back home, Mom kept cursing under her breath, vowing to make them pay. When I suggested checking on my brother's injuries, she slapped me out of nowhere, calling me useless for just standing by while she got beaten. She then frantically examined my brother's wounds. The sight of that small lump on his foot broke her heart completely. I quickly reminded her that snake soup promotes blood circulation, reduces swelling, and relieves pain. Just as expected, she immediately called Dad to buy a snake. Though they both agreed wild-caught ones were better, the time investment was too great, so they naturally settled for farm-raised. But snakes never come cheap, and my brother had gone days without swallowing a gallbladder. I remember when I broke my arm cycling home. Instead of comfort, I got slapped twice and was told to stop being dramatic. It's just a broken arm, not like you're dying. We're both their children. Why such blatant favoritism? Back then, I'd even fantasized about the scene after my death, picturing them weeping bitterly, consumed by regret, tormented by remorse for their past actions. Yet my past life experience hit me like a bucket of ice water, brutally dousing those fantasies. The cruel truth was, I'd overthought everything. For days on end, my younger brother finally got to indulge in the snake gallbladders he'd been craving. Time flew by in a blink, and before I knew it, the college entrance exams were upon us. "Sis, your college entrance exam is just around the corner. You've got this," he finished with a mischievous grin. In my past life, the day before my exam, my younger brother suddenly complained of stomach pains. Mom insisted I take care of him. leaving me sleepless all night. In the end, I underperformed and only got into a mediocre university. Looking back now, there were just too many red flags, so I resolutely applied for boarding school. When my brother learned I'd applied to live on campus, he threw a tantrum. He vehemently demanded I come home, insisting family support would help me perform better. His over-the-top reaction confirmed my suspicion. He'd sabotaged me deliberately in that past life. I turned to my homeroom teacher for help, and fortunately, she happened to be best friends with my younger brother's teacher. Since my brother had average grades, he was usually terrified of teachers. Upon learning this, my teacher decided to coordinate with her best friend to have my brother's teacher put some pressure on him. With the teacher's intervention, my brother finally had no choice but to agree to let me live on campus, free from my brother's mischief. I successfully got admitted to my dream university without any hiccups. When I pulled out Tsinghua University's admission letter, my brother's eyes turned bloodshot, as if they could drip blood. He aggressively reached out, ready to tear my acceptance letter to shreds, only to be slapped by our father. My brother froze instantly, his face a mask of utter disbelief. The moment my results were announced, Dad received unprecedented attention and praise. Everyone congratulated him for raising a Tsinghua scholar, praising his parenting skills. Even his boss started treating him with newfound respect. Father felt a sense of accomplishment he'd never experienced before. At that moment, Dad only had eyes for me, his pride and joy who'd made him proud. Even Mom and Grandma didn't side with my brother, since they too were basking in everyone's flattery and admiration. 3C. Even the crown prince means nothing when their own interests are at stake. All that unconditional pampering vanishes in an instant. A few days later, Dad threw me a college celebration banquet with a big crowd. At the banquet, Dad kept showing off my younger brother, bragging endlessly about how smart and well-behaved he was. You'd think he was the one who got into Tsinghua University. The night before I left for university, Mom suddenly called me aside for a talk. Wanqing, your father and I are the only ones earning money in this household, but the whole family depends on us. We simply can't afford to support you anymore. You'll have to figure out how to pay your tuition on your own. Fine, if you insist on us paying, you'll have to agree to our terms. This happened in my past life too. They used every trick in the book to pressure me into staying local for college. That way, I could take care of the household, tutor my younger brother, and save the family a fortune in tutoring fees. But now Tsinghua University has reached out to me directly, leaving them no room to interfere. Seems they still won't give up, trying to use financial pressure to force me into submission and remain their puppet. Unfortunately, I'd already taken out student loans early on and even bought lottery tickets. In my past life, my neighbor won 10,000 yuan in the lottery. Overjoyed, he couldn't stop sharing his excitement with everyone, leaving a lasting impression on me. Given a second chance, I followed his lead and bought 10 shares. Not that I couldn't afford more, but I didn't want to draw unnecessary attention to myself. Without me as free labor, Dad had no choice but to enroll my younger brother in cram school. My younger brother isn't the sharpest tool in the shed and spends all day slacking off playing games instead of studying, which earned him a scolding from his teacher. But Mom thought her precious boy was being treated unfairly and stormed into the tutoring center in a rage. To calm the situation, the tutoring center suspended the teacher for reflection and expelled my brother. After trying several other tutoring centers with no improvement in his grades, Mom actually demanded that I come home every week to tutor him. Mom, I'd be happy to help, though it does save 2 days worth of meals each week. The round-trip ticket costs 490 yuan. Could you transfer me the money? After family discussions, they decided against having me tutor my brother. Not only was the travel expense high, but 2 weekly tutoring sessions wouldn't make much difference. Left with no choice, they enrolled him in a less reputable cram school instead. My brother's never been the sharpest tool in the shed. In my past life, it took customized study plans, daily supervision, and me highlighting key points just to get him into a second-tier university. Yet they accused me of being too harsh on my younger brother, calling me jealous, when in truth, I endured all the unfairness for the sake of his future. I can't help but wonder, without my help, what scores will my brother actually achieve? Will he make it into that military academy he's been dreaming about? I've always known with crystal clarity that I have no safety net to fall back on. That's why I threw myself into academics during college, devouring knowledge, joining my professor's research projects, staying gloriously busy. One evening, just as I stepped out of the lab, my mother's call came through. Lin Wanqing, your brother suddenly lost his vision. What should we do? Ask him what he was doing just now. What caused this sudden vision loss? Lin Wanqing, you're a Tsinghua honor student. Your brother's counting on you. You can't abandon him now. Do you know what he was doing earlier? If not, go ask him immediately. Why'd he go blind? Parasites. Obviously, swallowing all those snake gallbladders raw, he's lucky symptoms only showed up now. Mumu played video games nonstop for a full day and night, then suddenly lost his eyesight. That explains it. His eyes shut down from extreme fatigue. Just get proper sleep and he'll recover. If you're really worried, take him for an 4 drip. Go ahead, pump him full of 4 fluids, make his constitution even weaker. After dealing with Mom, I peacefully drifted off to sleep. Sure enough, my younger brother recovered the next day. To help him regain strength, Mom even prepared an extravagant snake banquet. She couldn't stop bragging to everyone about his incredible constitution, how he could regain perfect vision overnight after temporary blindness. His eyesight was so sharp he could spot things clearly from 100 meters away. Such vision is truly exceptional in this era where 80% of teens suffer from nearsightedness. All thanks to his childhood habit of swallowing raw snake gallbladders. Indeed, my younger brother often gets headaches. Though he's obsessed with his phone, he never uses it for long stretches. Prolonged use triggers his headaches, so his eyesight has remained excellent. Time drifted by quietly. After graduating university, I landed a job at a multinational company and chose to work far away from my family. The next time I received a call from home was after my brother finished his college entrance exams. Lin Wanqing: you graduated from Tsinghua University, you've seen the world. Tell us, which university would be best for your brother? A Beijing school would be ideal, closer to you so you can keep an eye on your little brother too. So he still expects me to be his nanny. I don't work in Beijing, my position requires frequent relocation, so I won't stay in one city permanently. As a key talent in the company's development program, I need to visit different branches for training, which isn't entirely untrue. And he's a Tsinghua graduate. What a pathetic state he's ended up in. True, the job market's tough these days. I'm just grateful to have any work at all. By the way, didn't you always want him to attend military academy? Just apply with last year's cutoff scores. Well, your brother only scored around 300 points. Getting into military academy might be a stretch. In my past life, though my brother didn't get into military academy with my help, he still made it to a top-tier university. After graduation, he aced the civil service exam and secured an iron rice bowl job, living a fulfilling life. This lifetime, I chose to let him follow his path, yet even with hawk-eyed vision, his test scores doomed any chance of military academy admission. Mom, these scores are completely beyond my comprehension. Maybe you should consult an admissions counseling agency. What's the point of getting into Tsinghua if you can't even help with this? Such a waste raising you. Dad immediately launched into a furious tirade, calling my brother a useless failure for not getting into college and humiliating him, ranting about schools neglecting students, and cursing tutoring centers as incompetent money grabbers who couldn't teach properly despite charging a fortune. In reality, many vocational colleges offer excellent prospects by mastering specialized skills. Graduates can shine in their respective fields and achieve both substantial rewards and promising career growth, but I'd never breathe a word of this to them. Don't think getting into Tsinghua makes you special. You might not even end up as successful as me. My younger brother snatched the phone from Mom and started screaming hysterically. I immediately hung up to end his pathetic tantrum. That family never reflects on their own mistakes, it's always someone else's fault. After failing the college entrance exam, my brother completely lost his confidence. Though not particularly bright, he'd always had an inflated ego, dismissing vocational college as beneath him. Now he just holes up at home gaming all day. One day, Mom stumbled upon a bizarre reality show. Suddenly inspired, she decided to turn my brother into an internet celebrity by live-streaming him eating raw snake gallbladders and flesh. That's right, for the sake of entertainment value. He'd have to swallow not just snake bile but raw snake meat. Mom even insisted with conviction that both were highly nutritious tonics. Sure enough, this outrageous stunt drew quite the crowd of onlookers. Seeing this, Mom became even more smug and started bragging loudly about how swallowing snake gallbladders improves eyesight. She even cited my brother's perfect 20/20 vision as living proof. Snakes are like miniature dragons where every part is precious. Since childhood, my brother's been swallowing snake gallbladders. Not only does he have sharp vision, his skin's as smooth as a snake's. My brother's live stream blew up overnight, with viewership skyrocketing. Within just 1 month, he became a streamer with millions of followers, raking in serious cash. Countless fangirls even spammed comments saying they'd bear his children. But now my brother looks down on the goddess he was once obsessed with, thinking she's no longer worthy of him. Yet a small fraction of fans remain deeply concerned, pointing out that consuming raw snake gallbladders and meat carries a high risk of parasitic infections, posing severe threats to health and even life. But by then, the parents were already blinded by the flood of profits. They turned a deaf ear to these well-intentioned warnings, even going so far as to block any fan who voiced concerns. They were utterly intoxicated by the thrill of wealth and fame. It seems that when their own interests are at stake, even their once doted upon son could be sacrificed without hesitation. In the end, they only truly love themselves. Birds of a feather flock together. What a bunch of sophisticated egoists. My brother suddenly mentioned feeling weak during the live stream, with sore and limp limbs. Fans quickly noticed something was off. Upon closer look, they saw his flushed face and flooded the chat, urging him to take fever meds immediately. Instead of giving my little brother fever reducers, Mom seized the chance to promote her snake gallbladder cures all theory and made him swallow several raw snake gallbladders. She even claimed snake gallbladder works like traditional Chinese antibiotics. 1 gallbladder equals a cephalosporin pill, with no alcohol restrictions. 5. But after taking them, not only did his fever persist, it triggered severe headaches instead. Ag, my head is killing me. The younger brother contorted his face in agony, howling while violently pounding his head. Both the livestream viewers and their mother were terrified. This is no ordinary headache. No normal headache could cause this level of pain. It must be a parasitic infection. The worms are eating his brain. Oh my god, I'm never eating raw-cured food again. Look, there's something moving in his eyeball. Mom instantly snapped out of it, shut down the live stream, and called me. After hearing Mom's tearful account, I urged her to take my brother to the hospital, but remembering Grandma's slap last time and Dad's reproaches, she still didn't dare to take him. She just kept telling me to come home immediately. After a moment's thought, I figured might as well join the excitement, and immediately booked a flight back. When my brother showed no improvement after the 4 drip at the small clinic, we had no choice but to tell Dad and Grandma, Moo, stop hitting the head. You'll knock yourself silly. Seeing my brother's reckless fighting style, Grandma desperately grabbed his arm, only to be violently shaken off by the frenzied boy, leaving her collapsed on the floor for a long while. Son, what's wrong? Don't scare me like this. Tears streamed down father's face as he watched my younger brother writhing in pain. Spotting mother cowering nearby, his rage erupted instantly as he began beating her mercilessly. Is this how you care for my son? Did you poison him, you wicked woman? You deserve to die. Whenever little brother had problems before, I was always the one who got beaten. But now that I'm gone, mother has become the new punching bag. I would never. Moo is my own flesh and blood. How could I possibly harm him? I'd rather die myself than see Moo get hurt. Then how did my son end up like this? Just then, the younger brother suddenly started foaming at the mouth and convulsing violently before losing consciousness moments later. Dad was frantic with worry. He immediately scooped up my little brother and rushed to the hospital. Grandma trailed behind, screaming and trying to stop them. Consumed by terror, she feared her beloved grandson would never return if they went to the hospital, but no one paid her any heed. When I hurried to the hospital, the doctor was holding a stack of test results, announcing that my brother had a parasitic infection requiring surgery, though the procedure carried significant risks. Grandma refused to accept it, stubbornly convinced someone had cursed my brother with black magic. She insisted she knew exactly where to find a mystic who could break the hex. Dad realized hex just meant parasite. Grandma had a point, so he picked up my brother and turned right around. The doctor quickly intervened to stop my father, explaining that my brother was in critical condition and needed immediate surgery. But my grandmother lashed out at him, accusing the hospital of being money-grubbing and heartless. Seeing how stubborn they were, the doctor had no choice but to let them leave. Though his duty was to save lives, there was nothing he could do when patients refused treatment. Just then, my mother pulled me aside to a secluded spot. Wanqing, please talk some sense into your father. We need to get Moo that surgery. You're a Tsinghua graduate. You know best. Your father will listen to you. Those so-called masters are just peddling superstitious nonsense. Don't fall for it. Why don't you talk to Dad directly? This not trusting you is just an excuse. You just want me to take the fall for you. Since childhood, I could never bear to see you wronged, always rushing to your defense, yet you join them in bullying me. Not falling for it this time. Moo is your own brother. How could you be so heartless as to leave him in mortal danger? 6. She swung a slap at me, but I dodged it deftly. If even his own mother won't save him, why should I, his sister, stick my nose in? Fine, you've really grown some nerve, you ungrateful little brat. All these years wasted on you. You think I wanted your charity? If not for that DNA test, I'd swear I wasn't even your child. Mom rolled her eyes in fury, but I wasn't about to indulge her tantrum. I turned and followed Dad instead, watching my brother drink talisman water, sprinkle black dog's blood, and consume cinnabar made my skin crawl. Yet shockingly, his headaches actually stopped afterward. Granny smugly boasted to our parents that experience always trumps youth. My brother was endlessly grateful to Granny. The mere thought of brain surgery terrified him beyond words. Back home, my brother immediately went live, sharing his ordeal with followers and especially thanking Granny for sparing him the nightmare of a craniotomy the second day after returning home. My younger brother started getting headaches again during his live stream. I earnestly advised him on camera to follow the doctor's recommendation for surgery, only for him to completely lose his temper and hurl vicious insults at me. Maybe everyone has that tendency to avoid reality, especially when facing life-threatening situations. We'd rather deceive ourselves than face the truth. I did that specifically to preserve evidence and prevent them from turning the tables later. Time proved I made the right call. After the live stream ended, Grandma mysteriously pulled out a bag of powder and whispered something to my brother. The master claimed to have largely cured the illness yesterday, though some residual issues remain that require gradual treatment. This is the master's secret remedy. Take it for a week, and you'll be completely healed. My brother's eyes lit up instantly. He eagerly gulped down the master's potion, then soon dashed to the bathroom. A sudden scream sent us rushing to the toilet, where we found the bowl teeming with wriggling worms. The sight made me puke my guts out, so revolting that I instantly regretted rushing over. This horror will haunt me for life. But the nightmare wasn't over. My younger brother started vomiting live worms from his mouth. My world spun violently as I witnessed this. I desperately wished to black out. No one could fathom this terror without experiencing it firsthand. Not a single family member dared touch him until he finally passed out. Wan-Ching-Chu, what are you standing there for? Get your brother to the hospital now. My father roared at me. I won't go. I'm scared. With that, I quickly grabbed my bag and bolted out of the house. I can't stand another second in this house. It's absolutely revolting and suffocating. In the end, Dad scooped up my little brother and rushed him to the hospital at full speed. It's clear how much he loves him. Not that Mom and Grandma don't care, they're women with limited strength, and the shock left them too paralyzed to even stand. The medical examination revealed my brother had ingested pesticide. The master knew it was a parasitic infection, so he gave Grandma deworming powder, thinking it would kill the parasites in the boy's body. This method might work for common intestinal roundworms, but the parasites had already invaded not just his gut, but his brain as well. The dewormer didn't kill the parasites, it only agitated them, making them writhe more violently. After emergency surgery, the boy survived, but tragically became completely paralyzed, barely able to move even a finger. Grandma nearly fainted upon hearing the news. A young nurse shed tears of sympathy when she saw our family's distress. Chu Wan-Ching, you didn't even help Grandma when she almost collapsed. You refused to take your brother to the hospital. How heartless can you be? Even a stranger showed more compassion than you, treating your own family with such cruelty. How could anyone be so cold-blooded? The moment my parents started scolding me, it immediately sparked a wave of murmurs from the crowd, every voice rising and falling in judgment against me. Mom, didn't you see what the doctor brought out? As soon as I finished speaking, I vomited. Seeing it again clearly hadn't lessened the shock. The onlookers turned their gaze to where the doctor was holding a stainless steel basin, its contents horrifying, a basin teeming with worms. 7. The crowd gasped in horror, with the more timid ones screaming outright. Chaos erupted, and no one had the presence of mind to blame me anymore. Suddenly, Dad clutched his head and cried out in pain. Doctor, help, my head's killing me. It feels like worms crawling in my brain. Perhaps terrified by my brother's ghastly condition, Dad too felt a splitting headache, then with a sudden agonized scream, he collapsed unconscious. Turns out Dad was also infected with parasites, but since he consumed fewer snake gallbladders, his condition wasn't severe. With medical treatment, he barely suffered any serious after effects. Mom and Grandma immediately got checked too, only to find mild intestinal infections that could be cured with deworming medication. But upon hearing about her own parasite infection and seeing Dad and little brother's miserable state, Grandma had such a shock that she suffered a stroke. Thankfully, prompt treatment left her with just hemiplegia, staring at her devastated family. Mom momentarily spaced out, bewildered at how their perfectly normal household had suddenly descended into this nightmare. Wan-Ching, this must be a dream. Tell me it's just a dream. Sweetheart, Mom then pinched my arm hard. I yanked my hand away in pain. What kind of lunatic pinches someone else instead of themselves? After caring for them at the hospital for days, I packed up to return to work once they were discharged, only for them to throw every possible obstacle in my way. Chu Wan-Ching, how dare you go to work when the house is in such a state? Have you no conscience at all? Can't you see how much your brother is suffering? Hurry up and help him turn over. Give him a massage. Have you forgotten the doctor's instructions? How could you be so heartless? What happened to my kind and filial daughter? Don't be upset, dear. Your mother's just worried. Don't take it to heart. Your father knows you're good and dutiful. I'm sure you'd never abandon the family. They played the good cop and bad cop routine with masterful precision. When I was little, whenever my brother and I had a fight, even when I was clearly the wrong party, Mom would always scold me without hearing my side, accusing me of bullying him and failing to be a caring older sibling. And Dad, he gave me these earnest lectures about how hard Mom worked to take care of the family, how I should be more understanding, how I needed to look out for my little brother. My heart ached with grievances I couldn't voice. Though my brother was at fault, I bore the brunt of the blame, swallowing every bit of pain in silence. Only after living a second life did I understand hearts are inherently biased. To those who don't love you, even your death would be an inconvenience. This time I won't fall for their manipulation, nor will I pity them. All I want is for them to get what they deserve. I could just quit my job, but are you going to pay off my student loans for me? It's not much, just over 200,000 yuan, 200k. Who are you trying to fool? Since when does college cost that much? Do you think college is just tuition and dorm fees? Do I not need to eat? Have you any idea how expensive Beijing is, or do you think graduates don't need money for rent? How could it possibly be over 200,000? I was fully prepared, pulling out stacks of bills, showing all the classes I'd enrolled in, yoga, music, makeup tutorials, you name it, what I missed out on as a child. I made sure to give myself as an adult. When my parents saw the long list of expenses, their faces flushed with anger, but there was nothing they could do to stop me from leaving. At the hospital, my only responsibilities were bringing them meals, receiving visiting relatives and friends, and putting on a show of filial devotion whenever outsiders were around. I'd often disappear for hours under the pretense of escorting visitors, and never missed a chance to help other patients when needed. Everyone praised me as capable, dutiful, and kind-hearted. Soon after, Mom went live on my brother's streaming channel, publicly denouncing how wicked their daughter had become. They spoiled that girl rotten since childhood, always favoring her over their son, giving her the best of everything, especially education. Why else would she get into Tsinghua while her brother had to earn family income as an internet celebrity? When the whole family was hospitalized after the incident, the daughter shamelessly dumped all responsibilities on her mother instead of caring for them. After discharge, she abandoned the vulnerable family members to avoid being burdened. She'd rather waste money on useless training programs than help her family in crisis. As the saying goes, no child blames their mother's looks, no dog blames its home's poverty. Her behavior was worse than an animal's, utterly breaking their hearts. They even displayed medical records in our household register publicly, exposing my personal information. They attempted to force my surrender through online harassment. Fortunately, I had a countermeasure ready. After the incident fully escalated, I uploaded our previous chat history. The chat records perfectly revealed how a son-preferring family systematically oppressed and gaslight their daughter. Many fellow patients came forward with testimonies about my devoted care, even sharing how I nearly collapsed from exhaustion, actually due to unnoticed hypoglycemia. The issue of son preference has become a social hot topic, reaching unprecedented levels of public attention. Seriously, favoring daughters means giving the son his own room while the daughter sleeps in the kitchen, or the whole family gets nutritional supplements while excluding the daughter. Thank God she didn't eat that stuff. If my daughter got into Tsinghua, I'd treat her like royalty. I'd sell everything we own before letting her take out student loans. See this? Women often perpetuate son preference worse than men do. Shame on them, they're women themselves. Those who only ever profited from the internet finally faced its backlash. They had no choice but to delete their accounts, yet still couldn't escape the gossip from colleagues and neighbors. Later, I posted from a burner account. Mom's blood type is O. Kids AB, definitely not biological, right? 8. The photo was cropped from the mother's household registry screenshot. The internet instantly buzzed with excitement again. Wow. It's so rare for a child not to be biologically related to their mom. Only a bold streamer like you would have such unique drama. Must be a hospital mix-up. Just saw a similar news story the other day. Lots of people have fake blood types on their household registrations. Clerk just scribbled random stuff, thinking they could find peace by deactivating their accounts. They were instead dragged back into the whirlpool of public scrutiny. Truth is, Mom only glanced at the camera briefly. It was hard to see clearly. But that damned half-brother from my past life made sure I knew everything when he sold me out, yanking my hair while spitting out the truth. He's actually Dad and Aunt Wang's child. The baby Mom gave birth to is abandoned on a mountain to die. We're both just tragic casualties in this mess. Mom nearly had a breakdown when she saw the message and immediately demanded a paternity test. Have you ever had your blood type tested? Nope, never. Then that proves the staff just made it up randomly. Why get so worked up over others' comments? How ridiculous. Hearing Dad's words, Mom realized he was right and felt reassured. I gave Mom a call. Mom, little brother doesn't look like you or Dad at all. Even with your genes mixed, he should at least resemble me somewhat. But he doesn't look like anyone in the family. But your dad and grandma both refused to let me get a paternity test done. Just because they're against it doesn't mean you can't do it secretly. If Tsimu really isn't my brother, then my real brother must be perfectly healthy. That'd be your safety net for old age. As expected, she agreed immediately when she heard it was in her favor. After waiting for days, the results confirmed that my younger brother wasn't Mom's biological child, and she tearfully broke the news to me. I suggested she report it to the police, but she said Dad wouldn't allow it. Even a pet dog grows on you, let alone raising Mumu for over a decade. Even if he's not my biological child, I'll always treat him as my own. Our biological son must have his own life too. How could you bear to disturb him? But Mom didn't want a completely paralyzed son. She found fault with my brother in every way, and within just a few days, he even developed bed sores. This led to another huge fight between Mom and Dad, and Mom came crying to me again. I suggested to Mom that she secretly arrange a paternity test for Dad. Only by witnessing firsthand that my brother isn't his biological son could Dad truly understand how Mom feels. Mom actually went behind Dad's back and did it. When Dad saw the outcome, he was utterly devastated. Grandma was so furious she ended up in the ICU. That's when Mom finally understood the consequences. After Grandma passed away, I returned for the funeral. Seeing my parents with their silver hair sent a pang through my heart, but remembering their past actions quickly hardened my resolve. After some thought, I went to visit my younger brother. Sis, take me with you. I know you care about me the most. I want to live with you. In your dreams, you're not even my real brother. Why should I care about you? Still expecting me to look after him at a time like this. The nerve. You're back too, Chu-Wan-Ching. Right, this wasn't how it was supposed to be. I passed the civil service exam, married a beautiful wife, had an adorable baby. I was happy. Yes, I should be happy. So where did it all go wrong? Hearing his cries, I realized he'd returned too, just far too late. My brother's having a mental breakdown. Should we commit him to a psychiatric hospital? After arranging Grandma's funeral, I made the suggestion to my parents. To my surprise, Dad refused. He insisted he'd treat my brother as his own blood, even though he wasn't biologically his. Staring at my father's solemn face, I fell silent. In that moment, he truly embodied what it means to be a man. One day, my account suddenly showed a large deposit. It turned out Mom had transferred the money. She'd noticed Dad and Grandma's odd behavior long ago. Timu was never a case of mistaken identity. He was Dad's white moonlight-esque child, born before her passing, believing the baby was his with his first love. Dad abandoned his wife's newborn and passed off his former flame's child as their own. Grandma was aware of this matter, so she personally removed her own oxygen tube. Even after Dad found out the child wasn't biologically his, even though his first love had manipulated him, he still loved her and cherished her child. In the end, Mom expressed remorse to me, tearfully apologizing, but I chose not to accept it. To forgive would be a betrayal of my childhood self. And of my past life that ended in tragedy. Soon, Dad realized there was no money left at home. Mom claimed she'd donated it all to an orphanage, even fabricating donation records. She said if her child had survived by chance, they might have ended up in an orphanage. 9. Deep down she knew the child wouldn't survive those freezing days. Handing the baby to me, her only child, was the merciful choice. Dad completely fell apart when he found out. Having quit his job to manage my brother's influencer career with Mom, their reckless gamble left them penniless and clueless about survival. Then he contacted me about an arranged match. Some perfect gentleman from a good family who'd supposedly never consider me if not for my Tsinghua pedigree. I told Mom immediately. Her investigation revealed he was gay, just looking for an intelligent womb to trick into a sham marriage. After a violent altercation, Dad had no choice but to abandon the idea. Dad was shrewd yet ruthless. Seeing reports of medical disputes sparked an idea. He wheeled my brother to the hospital daily, holding protest banners accusing improper treatment. Why else would nurses cry? Guilty conscience, he claimed. The hospital reluctantly settled with compensation, while the young nurse received a severe disciplinary mark. Perhaps the prolonged agitation worsened Dad's worm-eaten mind. He became haunted by hallucinations of insects feasting on his brain, sucking marrow and gnawing flesh. Then one day, he swung a knife at Mom. She barely dodged the sudden attack, but my younger brother wasn't so lucky. Dad hacked him to pieces. Dad was later diagnosed with schizophrenia. After some treatment at the psychiatric hospital, Mom brought him back home. Dad thought Mom still loved him, but the truth was, she tied him up the moment he returned, claiming it was for his own safety during episodes. In reality, Mom had secretly replaced his meds with vitamins long ago, triggering his frequent psychotic breaks. During his psychotic episode, she kept pressing him for details about abandoning their child. In his dazed state, he accidentally revealed the truth. The poor baby was never abandoned, but murdered at birth by his white moonlight, with him covering up the crime. Mom couldn't accept this truth and tormented Dad daily with increasingly cruel methods. But the ropes gradually frayed from his constant struggles over time. Despite prolonged starvation, Dad, being physically stronger, overpowered and killed Mom with terrifying ease. To avoid being sent back to the psychiatric ward, Dad lived with Mom's decomposing corpse. When the stench became impossible to conceal, the police finally arrested him. When I heard the news from the police, my emotions were in turmoil. After handling my mother's funeral arrangements, I admitted my father to a psychiatric hospital with an excellent public reputation. In reality, this institution had been exposed for subjecting patients to forced treatments and brutal abuse. Though the scandals were quietly suppressed, I deliberately paid a substantial medical fee and specifically instructed the doctors to provide proper care. Meanwhile, I'll be relocating overseas to assume the role of business director at headquarters, a highly challenging position I'm fully confident in tackling.